Welcome back to the Talk Healing to Me podcast. I'm your host, Karen Dwyer, and today is episode 50. Can you believe it? We are at the end of season 1 and we have some really exciting things popping into an incredible season 2. So today's episode is all about reflecting on our gorgeous conversation with Miss Sue Carty. If you don't already know her, Sue's story is remarkable. She started her career as a psychiatric nurse, went on to make history as the first Irish woman elected to the Rugby World Council, and helped grow women's rugby on a global scale. She's also been named Irish Woman of the Year, and closer to home, she's shared her expertise with the MS to Success community, guiding our beautiful clients on their healing journeys with emotional well-being at the center. And look, Sue is a great pal of mine, but she's one of those rare people who really blends the courage with compassion. And in our conversation, she really did leave behind some lessons that are too good not to highlight. So today I'm going to walk you through the top 10 takeaways from that episode and expand on why they matter to all of us in leadership, in health, in our personal life, and life in general. This podcast is for educational purposes only and is not medical advice. Always consult your doctor. Views shared are personal and not a substitute for professional guidance. The first one, your path doesn't have to make sense to anybody else except yourself. So, as Sue's example, she went from nursing to international rugby leadership. Now, you'd never expect those two worlds to connect, really. And I suppose the truth is, your career or your healing path doesn't need to look logical on paper. So, really say yes to what lights you up, stack those experiences, and really those detours and what you really enjoy, whether it's sitting outside reading a book or grounding yourself, they are the foundational things that make a difference to your health and your overall well being. The second one is big change starts with a clear vision and a real village. So, Sue helped grow women's rugby participation from 4% to 25% worldwide. And this doesn't happen because one person works harder. It happens because you paint a vision people can believe in and then gather allies to make it real. And it reminds me of that quote that Van Gogh had: I dream what I paint and then I paint what I dream. Something similar to that. Um, so really allow yourself to have that vision, allow yourself the support around you. Number 3, leading in a male dominated space takes courage and skill. So Sue didn't kick down the doors. She built trust and aligned agendas and created momentum. And I think that again, the lesson in that is leadership is conviction plus collaboration. So be willing to have the hard conversations, but keep it about the mission and not your ego. I really, really valued that. Number 4, mistakes are data, not identity. So her words were, you will mess up, so stop being afraid of it. Try and learn and adjust and move again. And if you're waiting until you're perfect before you take action, you will wait forever. One of the things I'm often saying in MS to Success programs is, fail forward, fail fast, and keep failing. And one of the things we celebrate, I know I've spoken about this before, every week on our Friday wind up, we celebrate the fail of the week and the win of the week. Because I think if you're afraid of failing and you're trying to get everything perfect all the time, you never move forward. If you're failing, it means you're on the court playing the game. If you're not failing, you're sitting in the stands being a viewer. Um, and that really isn't participating in life. So yeah, don't be afraid to get it wrong. The fifth point is authority without empathy fails. Empathy without standards wobbles. So Sue calls it honoring the office. Leadership isn't about puffing yourself up. It's about stewarding the role you've been trusted with whilst keeping your heart front and center, kind and clear at the same time. The sixth point was you can't separate mental and physical health. So she's seen it firsthand in MS to Success. When stress rises, health behaviors wobble. And when the health habits slip, stress increases. And the two really are intertwined. And that's why we have so many mindset, hypnotherapy, mental health coaching, mental health support to ensure that we create that emotional safety. And being honest about what you carry and having the space to be vulnerable is a non negotiable for healing. The seventh point was celebrate small wins because they're not actually small. Sue reminded me that sometimes you don't realize how big a win is until you say it out loud. And recognition really does rewire the brain, and confidence compounds through celebration. So share each and every win out loud and every week, like we do on our Friday wind up. It really does matter. The eighth point was stress proof your day with a 5-minute reset. And her own practice was a quick meditation and dumping everything out onto paper that's in her head and choosing the next action steps, but putting a deadline on each one and asking who can support. And really the point was stress grows in silence. So when you name it and you date it and then delegate it, it just takes the monotony and the heaviness and the weight out of it. This episode of Talk Healing to Me is sponsored by Clean Boss, created by Joy Mangano, the legendary inventor behind the Miracle Mop and a pioneer in clean innovation. Clean Boss is a botanical disinfectant that kills 99.9% of viruses, germs, and bacteria. It's safe for food surfaces, soft surfaces, and baby high chairs with no toxic ingredients and no rinse required. It's also a degreaser, odor eliminator, and all-purpose cleaner that works as hard as the chemical-heavy stuff without the health risks. Check it out at getcleanboss.com/Karen for a clean, better, and living safer life. The ninth point was mentors and friends are a performance strategy, not a luxury. So Sue was clear, schedule time with your people. And when you feel like quitting, borrow belief from those who see your potential. Don't just hope support will arrive. Ask for it directly and specifically. I have struggled in the past with this, I have to say, and that hyper independence, and we spoke about this with our clients on Monday. The hyper independence can be a trauma response, and sometimes it's because you have the feeling that you'll be let down if you ask for support or help, or that people maybe won't be able to or will say no, and so that hyper independence becomes something that you do without even thinking, and so all of a sudden you do everything without asking support from it, and there's no need for it. There is plenty of people around you. I'm sure anybody that's listening will have had the sentence before say to them, "Oh, let me know if I can help you or support you with anything." It's like walking into a clothing store. If somebody comes over and says, "Can I help you?" My automatic and autopilot response is no. And I might be looking for something, but I've said the words before I've even had a chance to think about it. And then a couple of minutes later, I'd be like, actually, could you find me this in a size? Or I'm looking for something specific. So ask for it directly and specifically, and don't be afraid to allow yourself to be vulnerable. Number 10 is back yourself and go for it. So, Sue's message to young women, and honestly to all of us, is if something is tugging at your heart, stop overthinking it. Go for it. The door you're afraid of to knock on, it probably opens when you do. And before I close out today, after that brilliant 10th point, let's pause for one of my favorite parts of this mini-sode, celebrating our incredible client wins. Now, I take note of these every single week, and we've so many in here that I cannot actually remember when the last one stopped. So I'm going to skip down a little bit, and then I will share. So M, who's in the States, and her lovely sister Annie, she was able to get down onto the floor and back up without any issues whatsoever. Jay, who's in the UK, was able to put on her shorts standing up without needing to lift her feet or legs twice. Very cool. Very, very cool. Our client Jay has gotten back to driving and she picked up her husband from the airport. Very cool indeed. N said managed long shifts at work, even with tendonitis at the minute in her ankles. D, who's in Canada, said easier to walk while lifting right toe on the dropped foot. Absolutely brilliant. Well done. B, who's in the US, was able to walk up a few steps at her brother's house without touching or holding onto the wall. Amazing. C, who's in the UK, said good energy and dealing well with entertaining my overnight guest. Very cool. N, who's in Canada as well, said she went for a walk yesterday, even though her legs were tired. She made it and she's very proud. H, also in Canada, she was able to do her movement practice outside in the sunshine yesterday and sun and exercise at the same time. Very, very cool indeed. Let's do two more. T, who's in these are ones from our seated program. T said getting up from the seat is becoming easier, even if still using hands for support. J says successfully doing her movement plan and completing all necessary tasks. Z said improvement in her exercise, especially lifting the knee up through consistent practice. And M said she went for a really long walk with the energy at the end still. How cool is that? So, so amazing. So, they are our wins. Going back to Sue. Sue's story really is such a reminder that healing and leadership and growth are never separate and they really are deeply connected. And when we care for ourselves or for each other, we create that resilience and the joy and the real transformation. So here's my challenge for you. Take one of these takeaways, write it down and act on it this week. And maybe it's sharing a win out loud, or maybe it's asking for help, or maybe it's backing yourself and finally going for it. So thank you for the impact you've had on me, on our community, and to every listener who gets to hear from you. And to everyone tuning in, if this episode speaks to you, share it with a friend and leave a review. Maybe it's a young girl in your life that's into sport and maybe doesn't know what's possible for her. Go share that with her folks, with her, and let's have her inspired by Sue's path. You'll find more tools and support over at go.mstosuccess.com if you'd like to take our assessment and see if or how we can help you if you're dealing with MS. We're coming to the end of our season 1, would you believe? So you'll see some exciting things coming ahead. Until then, keep showing up with courage, keep talking healing to yourself, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now. Thank you to our sponsors of this episode. You can visit getcleanboss.com/Karen. And also a thank you to our video and podcast producer and editor, Aoife McNamara at Imagine Media. Thank you.